How's it going, guys? It's Nutshell here, and today we are going to be showing off the brand new changes that they've made to the loot on Lighthouse, and it appears like they may have potentially nerfed it, but I guess that's what today's video is going to be about. We're going to test out whether or not that this has actually happened, and of course I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown to the loot that you can actually loot on Lighthouse if you're purely after just making a bit of money, and hopefully it will be something that is useful to you. If it is, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we've got lots more stuff that's going to be coming out on Tarkov, and of course we'll be checking out a lot of other loot locations, including various different keys, which ones you should kind of focus on, and how to complete tasks and various different things throughout the game that I think might be useful. And of course you can find that out for yourself by just checking through some of the stuff we've already done if you're interested in some more Tarkov after this one. But in terms of Lighthouse, there's a few things that you kind of need to be aware of when you do play this map. Now, we're running with a shotgun, a scav vest, and a balaclava to complete one of our tasks. And essentially, there's a few areas where you can get beamed by people. You saw that there were some guys behind me, but we're purely just trying to get our way up to the chalets. It's where I need to complete one more scav kill next to the chalets with the shotgun with a headshot, I believe. And then we need to take out PMCs as well on this map with the sniper rifle. So if we can do that, that's perfect, and an addition to the loot run, it's something that you can do as well. We'll kind of outline some of the positions where PMCs will spawn, and hopefully that will help you out as well. So, in terms of some of the stuff that we've done when we're actually running on Lighthouse, what have we actually brought into the raid? There are a couple of keys that can increase how much money you can make and guarantee you a few more rare spawns if you're purely after that money. This is a pretty safe way of doing it. We are running on a PMC. You can do this on a scav. The extract is a little bit worse on a scav, so in my opinion you would be better off just running it on a PMC, which is why I wanted to showcase it, because it's a little bit more dangerous, but it's not really, and often because you've actually got a gun. The main dangers are obviously going to be those PMCs that do spawn, but with this sort of setup you should be fine. So main places where PMCs can spawn: directly in front of me over by the little village. This is often a common place. We're going to get up some of our stam. In here can be ammo spawns, just as a quick little thing. If you've come over here and you spawn where we did, which was nearer the raider base, obviously you can go down to the raider base if you wanted to, but it's quite dangerous, especially on the daytime, as you'll get beamed by a lot of the guys. Now, in terms of the keys we've actually brought, since we're just resting for a second, we have got the USEC Cottage room key, which gives us an additional room that we can loot. It usually has 2 to 3 spawns, at least it did before they changed some of the spawns. So we'll see whether or not this key is actually worth it. We've got the USEC Cottage first safe key, which you can actually use on the second chalet closest to where we are now, and the USEC second safe key, which is also in that chalet but in a different area of it. So we'll do both of these. I believe actually one of them may be in the top chalet, but I'll show you where they are anyway. But anyway, moving up, in terms of getting up there safely, you just jump over the little dog kennel and you can come up to this location. The only thing you have to be worried about is if PMCs are down to the right. They could potentially aggro you, but like 9 times out of 10, if not more than, like better than that, they're probably not going to do so. Scavs can also spawn down there, but I do see someone, so let's try and get them if we can. You can see there is... I saw someone running past the fence. We don't want to poke over too much. But, oh well, never mind. We can showcase some other PMC spawns as well. It doesn't look like they're immediately there, so not a problem. The second place where people can spawn is down in the chalet. The goons can spawn on the first chalet, so the one that we're coming up to now, which is obviously a bit of a problem, and you don't really want to be fighting the goons when you're doing a loot run. But yeah, we're going to just double check, see if they are there. I believe that they were on Shoreline last time I had a look at the Goon Tracker, which you can find. But so far, so good. Doesn't look like anyone's down on the main street. They can spawn further over, so they do walk over that sort of direction. So you just want to make sure that you are having a good look around. The light bulb is on here. If you've got a FLIR and you're using that, can obviously show as a thermal. But we're just going to have a good look down the street, see if there is anyone. And it doesn't appear like there is. So we'll pop out the old shotgun and we can kind of go in. Now, obviously, when you're using a machine gun, it's probably better. We'll go into this room here. This is kind of where you can go to get a medical bag. Now, whether or not it's spawned, just down to luck, and it has, so it's down in this little crate. Sometimes it spawns, sometimes it doesn't. It's just completely random. So yeah, hopefully we get something decent. We'll take the syringe. Over here there can be just random medical items, so IFAKs, AFAKs, blah blah blah, as well as some medical spawns on the table, and you can see here some drinks. In here there is often a ton of food spawns. You can see a Sprats over there, but for me, not really interested in any of the food spawns that will spawn there. Now once you've come out of here, you can loot the actual weapons crate if you're interested in that. Normally I wouldn't bother looting the weapons crate because it's very rare that you actually get something worth it. Sometimes you get some ammunition, but most of the time it's pretty crap. And then you come down here, there's also a scav that can spawn as well down here, so you can go and grab him, which he does seem to be spawning, but nothing good in him, which is a bit of a shame. Now, of course, you can do this in reverse order if you're interested. That's kind of what I will do. I'll try and run it in kind of the reverse order to if you spawn down on the road further on down. But yeah, it's going to be somewhat similar. There is a scav down there, so we don't want to get beamed by him. There's a rare spawn on this chair, but it hasn't actually spawned. I'm going to double check using the FLIR where this guy is. Oh, there he is. And we've removed said scav from this. Now, we still need to take out PMCs using the balaclava and stuff like that, so hopefully we can do that, but overpopulation is done. And you can see here, got ourselves our first guy. Obviously, you can loot them up if you're interested in upgrading your search skill. It's something you can do, so just whether or not you want to, that's what I would typically do. Then what we will do is come in through here and come in through the back entrance. Now, as you come in here, usually I will go upstairs. Upstairs, there can be a dead scav that spawns literally there. There isn't one in this raid, so not too problem, but it will spawn there. In here, you can find various different spawns on these drawers over here and over here. And if you did pick up the key, you can open up this safe, which is what we're going to do. We're going to see whether or not it is actually worth it. In here can be rare spawns. You can see we got ourselves an SG and some money. Now, some of these safe keys are very expensive and sometimes could maybe not be worth it, but you know, you never know, you could get super lucky out of them, and so I always like to get them as their consistent money. I think some of the keys are of 1.8 million, the other was about 700k, so it's just dependent on the time that you actually look. In here can be a rare spawn on the table, and I believe there can be a rare spawn down over here on the floor, but primarily on the table, and check on the bottom shelf just in case. And then through here there's another bedroom. On the chair right here can be a rare spawn. On here there can also be a guitar pick or a Veritas pick, and then yeah, just check around. But nothing there, which is a bit of a shame. Definitely seems like the loot on this run in particular has changed and that they've altered it. But yeah, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, I guess it was pretty OP in the first place. So it's still very, very good. I'm still able to make multiple millions per raid. But it definitely feels like kind of BSG have nerfed some of the spawns and everything for basically all of the maps. They seem to be not giving up as much, at least recently, and I guess we'll do a full video on this, kind of talking about everything. There can be a weapons crate on there, as well as actually on the table behind there can be some kind of normal loot spawns as well. Down here, nothing really in here. On the chair there can be a rare spawn, and next to the laptop you can also find a rare spawn, so be aware of that. and on the table. Pretty much all of the tables in these sorts of areas do have some form of loot. Once again, can be a rare spawn on this table, and just double check down here just to be sure. In here, you do have a rare spawn that can spawn here, like a military battery. And then around here, you want to just double check on the floor. As you can see, got ourselves some money. And then once you come in here, this is where you'll find the second safe key, which we can open. So in this one chalet, you do have the 2 safes, and they can have some pretty decent stuff, but considerably expensive keys for what I would say is, you know, mediocre loot. We probably made about 150k from this one run, but the keys themselves do have 40 uses. So over the entirety of the keys, it's definitely worth picking up, and I would recommend picking those up. In here you can find some random spawns, so just double check there, and then check on kind of the floor over here. You can find stuff as well as on the table, and then that is pretty much it. From here I will now decide to go downstairs over here. You've got to be careful that there aren't PMCs outside. On here there can spawn money and also potential for bitcoins and stuff like that. In here there is rare spawns for whiskey, moonshine and vodka, so you can find them randomly on the floor. And you can see there we got a vodka which we can pick up. So they can spawn in various different places, over there on that shelf and also over here and on the floor. In here you have yourself a spawn for kind of a weapons attachment sort of crate. It's not a black one, but it's the big one that spawns there, similar to this one, so the exact same one as this. Out here you have this crate, which you can have a look in. Most of the time it can spawn armor and kind of that sort of thing, body armors, so sometimes it's worth opening, but usually it is pretty garbage stuff, and I don't think we'll probably take any of this. So anyway, now moving on, there is a ammo box that can spawn up here, which has good ammo in it potentially. And then of course you got ammo spawns all over, and then just check over on the sofa and the chairs, but nothing really too spectacular there. Now then, we move through here. We then have a duffel bag, which you can open and hopefully get something decent. Usually I will have a rig in my backpack, as well as just dropping all of the money into the money cases, or the sit case even. And then just dropping everything that is worth anything into the rig, so we've got extra space. You want a rig that does have more slots than the slots it takes up, so this one works quite well. It's only a 3x3, but of course has what's that, 8 slots plus another 8, so you've got 16 slots for 9. So obviously you're getting an extra 5 slots for using it. Rare spawns there, as well as you can find ammunition and spawns here for like normal medical items, and various different things there. And then as we go through, we then have a spawn for a weapons crate right there. And then through here, you'll find a ton of med spawns. They can be on the floor over here. As you can see, a few bandages. These could be calox, these could be stims. In here, you'll find another stim spawn or medical item spawn there. You can find defibs. Up here by this little syringe pack, you can find also some stims. Over here, you've also got a spawn. You've got a spawn for a medical crate. And then over here, you've got another stim spawn. So really nice to jump in here just to check those. On here you can find kind of magazines and also weapon attachments. Magazines usually have ammo in it, so it's worth actually checking the mags to see what ammo is actually inside, as I found plenty of very good ammo in those magazines. As we come out here then, I will check over here. Bitcoins can spawn on the floor, as well as rare loot, so horses, gold chains, all sorts, as well as on this shelf directly in front of me down there can spawn stuff as well. And then on top of the kind of desk here, there can also, or on top of the bar, there can also be spawns. Food spawns on the table, potential for moonshine and that sort of thing. And then once we come out of here, we can go over to this location, which can spawn moonshines. It has food spawns and they can be on the deck chairs, so just worth having a look. But yeah, nothing too spectacular there. And then once we've checked over here, we go into this building, the blue building. On the floor over here, spawns for random items that are like military parts and stuff like that, so worth picking up if you do have space. Over here, armor kits and also weapon repair kits can spawn, and often quite a few of them. I really will only take the armor repair kits and stuff like that at the end of the raid if I still have space and I don't want to lug them around. Obviously, if you're playing a scav, I would never really recommend taking them, as they're usually only if you don't have space, because you want to make more money per slot than what an armor repair kit will do for 6 slots. In here, weapon crate, worth checking, see if you get anything decent. So we got a trooper, which is actually probably worth grabbing, especially since the armor changes, which you can have a look at the video recently. Got ourselves a Spectre. In terms of the actual armor, you can see pretty decent coverage, at least to a degree. In here, medical crate, or a medical bag, I guess, and we'll move that down there. Nothing in it, of course. In here, there can be spawns inside this little crate. There's one there. There can also be stuff up here, I believe, like sledgehammers. But yeah, in here, jacket, make sure to loot it. In that room directly in front of us is like the kitchen. I've never really found anything useful in here. I mean, it is worth to maybe come in if you want some extra items, things like mayo, but yeah, most of the time, never really worth it in here, but I guess maybe there could be potential to pick up a moonshine, but I've never actually seen it in here. Anyway, moving on from here, where do we go? Well, we go upstairs, and upstairs we go to the end of the corridor. This is the free version, so you can come up here. There is an intel folder spawn there. There's also a rare spawn next to that book right there. There's also a duffel bag, and there can also be a rare spawn over to our left. It's not usually a rare spawn, there's usually just trash, but sometimes it can get gold chains, that sort of thing, so you should have a look over there. If you do have the key, you can open up this room. It's required for a couple of quests, and it's worth keeping the key because it usually has some pretty decent rare spawns. First off, gold chain here. Got yourself a power bank. On the chairs, there can be rare spawns. You want to check over by the pillows. There can also be rare spawns under the pillows. I think one of the folders can be around there. There's a few spawns. I think there's one up there. There's also one up there for the actual item when you come into this room. And then, yeah, just making sure you're checking around all of the beds and double checking again, making sure you haven't missed a Bitcoin or anything like that. But yeah, pretty much opening up this room, worth having. Not particularly the best loot in this run, but it can have some decent rare loot spawns. And of course, the more you can have and the more opportunities, the more likely you are to get something like a Bitcoin, and it's worth having for when you are doing the full and chatted run, with when you've actually made a little bit of money, whereby spending money on the keys is actually going to be worth it for you. Then we move up through this area over here. Now, say you had got a fully kitted out loadout somehow by just looting the first chalet, you can, if you've got a red rebel and a paracord, which is what we've got here, we could take our armor off, put it in our backpack, and we could extract, or you can use a armored rig to be able to extract. Up here is the extract over here by the tree, and it's the quickest way and easiest way to do this loot run. There is no point playing as a scav, really, on PvE in particular, and so I would recommend just running it on just basically your PMC. It's super simple, and the only things you have to worry about are the goons spawning, and if they do, go do something else for a little bit, because it's not typically worth just doing a loot run where the goons could take you out. So either way, now we move up to the second chalet, and you can do that just up here. Someone has been here, whether it's PMCs or whether it's scavs, not entirely sure, but the door's open. It's always closed normally, and you can hear that there is a scav or something down here, so we'll go have a look. And he's thrown a nade, of course he has. Now we can continue. Rare spawn on top of this crate. It's usually something decent. You want to make sure, even if there's nothing visible, you check it, because bitcoins do spawn, and they spawn underneath the crate. So just be aware. Down there can be batteries, car batteries. There can be just random tech spawns, that sort of stuff. So just checking down there is worth it. So then we move over here. Over here, there's another scav. There can be a scav on top of the roof. So you can check that. As well as you can find random items around as well. So we're going to check in here. See if we can find out where this little scav is. I'm sure it's a scav. But either way, in here, there's a duffel on the bed right there normally. And then a random med spawn there. In here, you can check this shelf. Nothing usually there. Then through here, there can be a medical box spawn there. As well as check on top of the crates. You can see that the scav's outside. So we're going to just get rid of him so he doesn't surprise me. There we go. I think there may still be one more. But we'll just loot him. See if he's got any keys on him. He's got a nade. And we can also level up our search skill as well. One of the best ways to level up your search skill, for those of you wondering, is just searching some of the scavs, especially if they've got a backpack as well as a rig. And also, you may end up with a marked room key, because they do spawn on scavs in their pockets or in their backpacks. In here, nothing really too spectacular. There's usually a weapons crate there. Can spawn an Iskra if you're after the Iskra mission at the very beginning of a wipe. In here, nothing particularly too special. Over here, you can find rare spawns on the left and also the right hand side of the bed. So nice, worth actually having a look. Over here, food spawn, and then into here, we have a variety of spawns. In here, you can find items down there. And you can see there, the wires will pick up the battery. And then on the chairs, you can also get intel spawns. As well as over here, you'll get random spawns of various different items, including water filters, that sort of stuff. And then on top of the chairs, that's where the intel folders can spawn. So worth checking, and there you go. That's the intel folder. Since we have quite a few slots, obviously when you've got a full rig yourself, you can wear it. I'm using it for a task, so doesn't really do much for me. And then through here, we will go upstairs. As you come up the stairs, you want to check up there because there can be PMCs or scavs. And then from here, we will check the table, which has a rare spawn. On the chair, rare spawn. And then sometimes I'll check on the floor over here. There can be something, and on the other side of the desk, but most often than not, nothing really over there. Moonshines can spawn on and around down here, and of course on the table. So checking that is worth just doing quickly. In here, you've got a random spawn. Can be weapon parts, could be all sorts, ammo, that sort of thing that spawn down there. In here is a spawn for various different items. We got ourselves a GP coin, which we can chuck in our back. And then of course we want to just put all of the loose loot into the back. Up here there can be a spawn as well. Then we come in here. This is where you can get bitcoins and various items, right there and right there, as we've just got. In here, motor spawns, various different tech items, that sort of stuff. We're not going to take a motor in this one, even though it would be 140k. We just don't have the space, and I need to take something out for my backpack. Up there, military battery, tank battery. I never usually take these, even though they are worth quite a bit. It's about 400k, just because it's so heavy, and running with it is just a nightmare. Down here, more tech spawns, fuel, that sort of thing can spawn down here. Pliers, all sorts can spawn down there. And then on here, worth opening just to see if there's a silencer or something worth picking up. Nothing particularly too interesting there. Then here, the jacket, check this, open it up. And nothing particularly interesting. Ammo spawns up there. When you come up here, there's a couple of rare spawns underneath that in the alcovey bit there, as well as on top. Over here, there is also a rare spawn, as you can see, Veritas pick. Over here, food spawns. Over here, you have another rare spawn, so you can see there underneath the box somewhere, there's a GP coin. Sometimes it can spawn on the floor as well. And then you've got another crate here, a weapons crate, but probably nothing spectacular. Nothing worth taking, but it levels up our skill, our search skill. Duffel bag over here. Salewa, Not really worth it, even though it is more health than the one that we currently got. On here, there can be rare spawns, as well as kind of weapon part spawns as well on the chair. Over here, we come to this room. On this desk, there can be stuff. There can be a Bitcoin and rare spawns on top of this table. And then sometimes there's a duffel bag there. As you come back around, there's an ammo spawn and various different items on this shelf as well. In here, there is some jacket spawns that can spawn on this like rack here, as well as a duffel bag on there. And then check the table as well, it can have money, etc. In here, there is a potential stim spawn that does spawn here. Med spawn item, nothing for me there. And then, of course, you can see there's a morphine. Not that it'd be worth actually taking, but I'll do it anyway. And then we come outside, check for scavs and PMCs, just in case. Most of the time they would have aggroed you. Down here, stim spawns, etc. on the floor. You got a med bag spawn here as well. And then we'll check this. Hopefully we'll get something decent. We do need to eat in a second. So I will try and we'll use up this water. So we'll go grab a juice in a second, hopefully. There is another loot spawn here, so a safe can have stuff in it. Nothing spectacular. Down here there can be items. On this chair there's also a rare spawn and on the desk as well, so just double check that. We need to heal up as we go, just so that we don't get taken out. I will pick up this kvass and then we'll drink this. There we go. Cool. Now we've got a bit of energy, we can get out of the raid. As we're leaving, there is also a spawn there, which you can pick up a duffel bag for. And then before I leave, I always go downstairs. And then we'll go down the next set of stairs, break this window here, go in here, and then we can find things like rare spawn over on this guy's shoulder, and as well as where this Acer is, there can be spawns. So bitcoins, various different things, VPXs, all sorts can spawn there, so just be aware of that. And then in here, medical item spawns, so stims, various different things. I'm not going to pick up any of that. Over here, vodka and moonshine can spawn over there, so just be aware of that. Then we move over to the final rare loot spawn of this thing, which is over here in this box, so just around the corner. You can go down onto the playing court, and there's a couple of duffel bags at the end by the dead scavs. It's part of a quest at some point as well, so you probably know what I mean. And then from here, we jump over this, hopefully, although it can be a bit buggy. It's definitely a bit buggy. There we go. And then it's to the extract for the Red Rebel. Of course, if you are doing tasks, this is the point at which you could pop out your FLIR and have a quick look around, see if you can see anyone. On the road, you can see there, we got ourselves someone. So we drop one. And drop two. Cool. I think they're both down, and then just have a quick look over here, see if we can see anyone, just in case you're trying to complete the task, which requires you to take out scavs on the road. That is a way you can do it with the FLIR, if you've got one. And then once we've done that, we'll just continue to heal up. Obviously, when you're doing this on your own, I'm showing you all of the spawns, talking about them, showing exactly where everything spawns, but once you get the hang of it, you won't need to take anywhere near as long as we've taken in this raid. I'm going to dump out some of this stuff, just so that we've got a bit more room to put my rig in, and hopefully we can do that. We'll dump out some of this random stuff. There we go. We can get rid of that. And the defuel. Pop that in there, and then we extract. Obviously, you don't want any body armor when you are extracting with a Red Rebel extract, which is where having a rig that has armor plates in it is really beneficial. But of course, as I said, we're doing it as a task, which requires me to use a scav vest, which obviously doesn't provide any armor. So we're using a normal body armor, but 100% would recommend using a rig so that you get not only extra space, but also you can just extract straight away and you don't have to take up space in your backpack in order to have your own body armor. But in terms of how much money we made, it's definitely a lot less than what we were making at the beginning of PvE and when it first began, whereby I could guarantee at least about 2 to 3 million every single raid. That raid we made considerably less, and we opened up both of the safes, including the USEC room as well, that I showed you in kind of the first chalet by the Red Rebel extract. And so yeah, it's definitely been nerfed in terms of how effective this loot run is, but it's still very, very solid. And a lot of the items you'll get, you can just quick sell them to Therapist or quick sell them anyway. And some of the more expensive items you can just sell on the flea. But most of it is quite high quick sell value anyway. Things like skulls, passes, all of the rare spawns, intel folders are expensive and you probably want to keep those anyway. But yeah, generally a pretty decent run still, and probably makes you about 1 million guaranteed. Plus it's a really great way of getting your task done at the same time as actually doing the raid. So you can see here, complete this Peacekeeper task for overpopulation, and we're done with it. Now all we have to do is, I believe, one more on this map, which I cannot remember the name of, but I'm sure it is one which requires us to take out some of the Lighthouse PMCs. But either way, that is the Lighthouse guide revision, and seeing whether or not it's still as good as it is. For sure, it definitely isn't, and doesn't make you anywhere near as much money, because a lot of the items that you'll find, just the random spawns, aren't worth anywhere near as much as they previously were, but still a good money making way of making a bit of money, especially when you first start Tarkov. Doing this for maybe 10 runs on a scav can earn you a ton of money and then get you the ball rolling to start rolling your PMC into all of the different maps with a lot of the extra keys that you'll need for those maps, and then you can start really snowballing the amount of money you made. It's definitely how I first made the little bit of cash on PvE. But with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed this video. It was a long one, but I thought it was useful, and I wanted to discover whether this method still works and does as well as it previously did. But with that being said, make sure to subscribe down below if you aren't and you want to see more videos like this, and of course full run-throughs of some of the things that we do on Tarkov. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.